Shabba, we're on. Rather delayed, but maybe the delay is intertwined with fate, who knows? But you can see the title there of today's cast, the third Moon Day, the 3rd of August 2020. We have Kevin. I've managed to collate him after the weekend celebration. So do you want to say hello, brother, and what?
Evening, everybody. Hope we're all alright. Hope you're all in good health, good spirits, all the rest of it. Oh, hang on. I've got some volume coming back on me now. Turn that down. Sorry. Too much technology. Yes, I ventured out on Saturday. Came home on Sunday. Had to put myself straight into the garage for repairs. So I was a bit subdued yesterday, I'm afraid. So I did see Dave was planning to do something last night, but I just wasn't in any fit state to be talking to you fine people, to be honest. I was in a bit of a mess. All self-inflicted, I might add. So, but much love to you all.
What? Yes, thank you for joining. Yeah, I've got a somber topic to talk about. I'd first like to pay my respects to, just in case in the future this video finds it to the family of the Rasheeds. It's to do with the story of September last year, and it's recently come to surface in the public domain. So I'd just like to say, with ultimate respect and sincere over king standing of your position, both this host, me, David, Indiglo, and then the guest here, Kevin, the man Kevin here. Both these mans have seen first-hand evidence of what would we call them, officers trying to throw a beneficiary out of a King's Hospital Trust there in London, and we got it abstained, both this man and I. So we speak with love, respect, honour, overstanding. We do understand, but on this occasion we're going to step out and show you, by some miracle, if it happens to land upon the family of the Rasheeds and those affected by the I don't know how to describe it, the events of which you're all going to become aware of, that are far too common an occurrence. If only this was a one-off. So yeah, we pay love and respect, and we say to your lovely, beautiful daughter, we classify her and you as our family. We are tribes, lost tribes becoming found again. And Kevin, if you want to say anything, you've just reviewed the video there. It's now to pay some honour, diligence. We're not using this to profit or expose. If it turns out that the Christian, sorry Kev, the Christian, who are they, what were they called then, collective or something, consciousness, who are helping them, Christian, somebody, if any of the family need help, Kevin and I would prioritise giving you free information, and taking joy to support you and use our technology, of which we've nearly had 100% success rate. We're not blowing our own trumpet, it's true, and we can get testifications to it. So, Kev, do you want to say out respectfully about what you've just seen and been brought before? Go ahead.
I know it's a little way ago now, but I'd like to send my condolences, love, and whatever I can to that family being put through that by officers. No reason, clearly making up rubbish and lies. There was no need for them to be acting in the way they did. There was no compassion, empathy shown. These people were sitting next to the bed of their dying daughter. They weren't being vexatious, they weren't raising their voices, and the claim was the police arrested them because they were worried about the safety of the staff. Please watch the videos if you can, and you see show me what sort of a threat those people were. Absolutely ridiculous. So I'm sickened by what's happened. As David said, we had chance. Was it last year?
Some time ago,
early last year, I think, a little while ago, to sort of get involved in a similar situation where they were trying to remove one of our members from the hospitals. Severely disabled, I would say, is not an incorrect description. And there was, 4 security guards outside the curtain, basically, It was me, Dave, and Andy at the time, all remote calling. And so they immediately sort of trying to calm things down. But they were coming to take this disabled bloke. They would have carried him out the bed and slung him out the hospital, basically. So we stepped in and asked, okay, who's the company that employs the security guards? Let's see their qualifications to handle that disabled man, and let's see their liability insurance. And then all of a sudden, there was no security guards there. They left. So, and then we just had the rabble, and it was a rabble. There was nurses, doctors, loads of them in this one room, and they were the ones being vexatious and all raising their voices all at once, creating a scene. So we had to ask them to calm themselves and step out of the room. And yeah, once we mentioned a couple of things, like their own liability and commercial liens, it was quite amazing at the change. So, we've had experience of this, and we had our friend that was suffering it in the right capacity in the hospital as beneficiary. So we did remarkably well. It's one of the best things I've ever been involved in, to be honest with you.
Oh, bless.
It was on the fly.
Yeah.
Three of us sort of, there's a row going on in the room, and there's me, Dave, and Andy trying to quickly brainstorm between us and make the next move and blah blah blah. So it was quite remarkable though. It went from absolute mayhem to complete calm, and the next time the doctor or the nurse walked in the room, it was what do you require from us? I mean, half hour before they were going to get security idiots, monkeys I would say, to throw him out, and then all of a sudden it was, what do you require from us? So it just goes to show you, right words, right place. Shit changes, but this thing I've just watched tonight, and I've only just briefly watched it, people, as well. So, absolutely gutted. Can't believe it. Cannot believe it. What they did could have been easily sorted that day, but obviously hindsight's a perfect science. But we could definitely help. I'd love to speak to the family.
Well, there's a legal case going now. It's Christian Concern, I've remembered, that's backing up the family there. So we'll look at making inroads to Christian Concern and just passing on regards and messages or whatever, and our feelings. These are two doctors, to summarise, to encapsulate, comprehensively summarise for the ones that are out of the picture. Last year, two doctors went to the hospital and they visiting their sick daughter. She's of Asian, darker skinned family member, Asian origin, and she's suffering with a particular affliction of which is indicative to that bloodline lineage group there of ethnicity. Now, these Western doctors, as we know, and their medicine and recommendations and prognosis, diagnosis, are often not the most straightforward and beneficial for man. And I'll mention chemo and radio. So, we've noticed, and we've got testifications again to that. This is not just hokum. And so they've mentioned to these doctors that they're, in the game. And this dad, Papa Rashid, bless him, is knowledgeable of 10 years in his profession, and he does respiratory illnesses. So he's got some things to say with respect to the consultants and doctors and everybody at the, I think, Northumbria somewhere, Northumberland. Did we just see a link from there, Kev? Was it where was that name you just?
Northampton.
No, that wasn't the Northumbria,
sorry,
was
mate.
it? I'm sure you just saw something on the news clip of a trust name, but I can't remember myself either.
No, the only thing I saw was it was a statement from Northumbria Police.
So it's around that area then, the trust, the hospital, yeah, Northumbria. That's what you said, yeah. Thank you. And so they've then had a scenario where they were told on the day. Yeah, I've seen two news clips, one on Channel 4 and one on the radio. They were on the radio, BBC 4, talking to mum and dad. And then they've been on the news at 7 segment about 7 p.m. GMT today on Channel 4. And so I've seen and heard two these are the parents talking now when I speak and say, paraphrase. They've both said that they didn't know and wasn't expecting. They said something. The consultant said the pipes are coming out today, and they're like, "Oh yes, we know such and such, and we're going to try this, that, the other." And they weren't. No, no, no. We're going to be ending and turning off the support. And it was a surprise to them. And they're quite, orderly and polite and etc. So they were shocked. They were spoken to like scum. The Mama
Yeah.
Rashid said the word scum, and the dad, in shock at this time, elderly, already got a pre-existing medical condition of a heart symptom. I've been to the aid, and there's a video on this channel of me aiding an Asian elderly man that wanted help. One of my friends there, and he didn't understand the culture of bailiff and police and entry and peaceful entry and being honourable, because these Somali Christians and New Age Christians and different ethnicities that we have, the Christianity part of them is very honourable, and they open the door to demons, like we've shown with the offer of guardianship from the National Health, or the Office of Guardianship from the local council. Whichever way it comes, it comes as an olive branch, but it's there. It's a fiery, burning olive branch. It's like eating a sugary snack with a chili, burny centre of 1,000,000 Scoville, and not telling anyone. That secret gobstopper we had at school that was a joke. It's stuff like that in legal land. It's very, very dirty how they play. So these are honourable cultures and beliefs, and I've met quite a lot being in Birmingham. I just want to shout out to the, such as the Christian Somalians and the different ethnicities that I've met, many faiths and religions and cultures mixed in to a city like that, and I've been honoured to meet and privileged to see Jesus and God and the spirit of. Like George Carlin said, Christianity in itself, in these times of, it's what will save man. So honourability in this system sometimes, unfortunately, gets man into trouble. And these two doctors, experienced, honourable, loving, were then trying to go back to their daughter's bed, and a consultant has taken it upon himself to go in front of the dad heading for his daughter's bed, put his own body in the line of the dad. These are the dad's words from the newscast. And then the dad's bumped into the consultant trying to get to his daughter, because he's just found out life support may be being turned off, and there's no who, what, where and why, and mediation and cup of tea and a sit down in a private room and getting you warmed up for it and having a discussion and talking about alternatives. No, no, no. It's been decided in this case, and that's why the situation, you can imagine, is as it is. It could be anybody's daughter, mum, dad, sister, relative. The man's put himself directly, ran across the room. It's a testification on national news streams by these family members. And then they've called the police to say this. There has been provocation, assault, and stopping of, the line of duty at the hospital. Please come. There's been vexation and common assault is what the police were told. So they're going to rush to the aid of doctors accordingly. Upon arrival, we've then seen the video footage of what has come from body camera footage from the Freedom of Information Act. And I heard the poor dad say this morning about 10 to 9 on the wireless. He said, when we got this footage though, he says, we knew what it was and we didn't really have the strength to look at it for 3 weeks. And he said, it's just how we need to prove, what has actually happened, because the police didn't listen to the situation. They have what's called powers of discretion upon them, and Kevin and I are more au fait with this. So we have a falsely reported crime for number one. This is how we're going to break this down for the Rashid family, and they need to pass this on to their lawful legal advocates at law for their claim. Or this is how we would do it, and we'll openly adjust and edit it as we need to go along. But start from the beginning. There is more to this story. The police did drag the dad off. The dad complained that he had a wheezing chest. Let me just finish it before we dissect it then. The police wouldn't let him get his medication in his pocket. They said if he's going to have a heart attack, which he said he thought he was going to have, which he incidentally did, they'll take him to A&E. They plonked him on a chair. He didn't want that. They accused him of kicking him, but he's non-compos mentis. When anybody's in a state of medical, uncertainty, spontaneity, loss of, this is now not planned. So it's not premeditated. There could be random body spasms. It could be, you you don't just assume that, you need to be there to aid and take care of. And they were forcing him against his will. He expressed a will, it was ignored. And the nurses and the doctors, as Kevin noted, didn't say anything. He incidentally got slumped on a bed. And I don't know. He's allegedly had a heart attack, bless him. And they've gone through a rough deal. They've done nothing wrong. There's no crime. So we're going to dissect it. I'll let Kev speak first because I've said enough, and I need to collate because I am quite emotive about this, and I think quite a lot will be, because this could be anybody, and it's not a one-off. I yield.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I've only literally in the last 15, 20 minutes or so, I've just looked at the video and a Sky News report, which gives you a little bit more info from the parents. But just watching the video, I mean, you can clearly see these two people are completely calm with what's going on. The police started it. The police should... These people are sitting next to the bed of their dying daughter, who's about to be unplugged, which clearly it sounds like that was not what was discussed as the next stage of treatment.
Yeah.
Because it becomes a shock to them.
He offered an alternative. He did offer an alternative, which is indicative to that ethnicity, and it's worked before. And I think that might have pissed them off. Like when you piss a doctor off by mentioning something, and they're the expert, and you've said something, and we did mention the issue of. I'm sorry to the family for this, but this is real life, all right. We get places we get to by being real. There is presumed consent on organ reclamation, and I'll leave it there, and there is remuneration for when a mortality happens in a hospital, and depending on the situation, on the condition on which they put on a death certificate, that denotes how much remuneration. So I'm sorry, we do business lex mercatoria Latin, the devil deals, and not we do them, we expose them in the maritime, admiralty, commercial, military, church, unified codes of monetary value, and I'm afraid humans are valued as products, and it's not good what we found out, but we'll leave it there. There is other values on this. There's no consent anywhere, and there's no crime. So there's two extra things to put into the mix here that are in play. They're in the background and they're silently running, but at the end of the day, they are legal things that we're aware of, aren't we?
Yeah, there's also, this makes me laugh, they said something almost to the effect of, there's now, it sounded to me like they were saying, the police are bringing a civil case. Well, how can they do that? Police can't do that. So who's making the allegations?
No, the family.
I think there's charges against him, isn't there?
Oh, for maybe resisting arrest and something like that. There could be breaches. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So there's some sort of case, they're saying, charges against him. He does nothing. And how would you react if you were being dragged away from your dying daughter? They're just about to unplug.
This is blood.
For fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Where's the compassion, people? Where's the empathy? I hope it happens to those coppers. I hope they get put, and let's see how they react then.
He did say, listen, have a breath. He did say this morning, the father, Papa Rashid, said, I asked the officer, where is the warrant? He's, clued up, and he was honourable. Where is the paperwork? What have I done? Where is the problem? Why are you here? And the officers explained they was here because of assault, vexation, and something else, and they had to attend because they'd basically been informed a consultant had suffered an assault. So they were there to defend the doctors, and he said, I'm not. He was holding this nearly made me pull up and have a moment. I'll let you say. So I say this with emotiveness of love and respect, because as a father, anybody that is a mum or dad will know what Papa Rashid was on about when he explained that he was holding his daughter's hand, and she was obviously some kind of consciousness there for a grip and whatever. She may not have been conscious as such, I don't know, but his daughter was there with a grip like vice on dad's hand and likewise back, and there had to be a separation of that. Screaming. The mum nearly, that mother, Mama Rashid, nearly lost a poor woman, nearly lost two souls that day. And one would be through vexation, non consent, and intervention of a rank and file Federation metropolitan officer. That we need to get these lot educated, because this is really going to be the kindling that starts all out. Ascension and divination against them, and we are one family, and we can tackle this together if we start drawing divides such as this. And this is the kind of kindling that starts stuff. You know, we got in the background Bloody Sunday. You know, we refuse to be. I'm sorry to bring this up, but Good Friday Agreement and Bloody Sunday have been brought up because of the death of somebody that was a key player in the Good Friday Agreement, etc. With was it Ian such and such and Sinn Féin Jerry Adams. And we refuse to commit bloodshed and war. We won't repeat. We are learning. Consciousness is evolving, but you know, we've got some tools and some technologies here to help correct this. Later through this video, that will stop what we're currently doing, and will, much like the last will and testament and the power of attorney, two key elements there. Your then trust, expression of will, and appointment of, moving to the private ASAP, and informing ministers and secretaries would be the best thing that you can contemplate, and we will expand on that later. So we have an obligation of the officers, and we are not Matt Hancock stumbling over his own policy and rules. The government couldn't run a bath, as we're seeing, stay in, and they're doing the government hokey cokey. I don't know if you've seen that little rendition I put up there about you know, eat out to help out, but watch out, you might not get back, or come back with extra things. I don't know if there's a real risk or not. So these lot couldn't run a bath, and the society we're in, the sections seem to be very much crumbling. So we have a news bulletin which is quite shocking with regards to your property, the pair that rents, and how we reclaim the titles. It's going to be simple, and we're going to stop what we're doing to help you out with that. We haven't got all the answers now. We have got all the answers, but we're not going to give them on this video. We have instruments, and we will work in you know, line with what we need to do, and put a PDF bundle together of the essentials, and then show you and direct you. This is for all continents as well, because hospitals are military wards of the state. How we interface with them is a commercial transaction of an army. That's what it is. It comes from the army hospitals. You've got Ecclesia in there, Admiralty Maritime, and you've probably got UCC, and then you got, you know, your actual man, flesh and blood, in the image of the Creator, is being treated. You see, this is much like an arrest, where they use the data self, but take the flesh and blood for the penal afflictions and management, you know, locking up and putting in jail, prison, etc. But they are profiting from the digital side as well, which is the, you know, so anybody that wants to talk about CQV and money and bonds and stuff, can you just appreciate that we prioritize blood over mystical treasury accounts and you know, discharging and counsel. This is where the real work is, and it can be simply and effectively done there, can't it, Kev? If we just you know, have a moment, and we're willing for options. We're not saying it will be a dictatorship. Any comments or feedback, you go to our domain splspro.com, or email us. There is an email option on the homepage, and we've got emails. So yeah, you'll get in touch with us, and we'll do this as a family and all agree upon it. International treaties, persons and man do need to be separated, all right? If ever there was a time for this technology of which we promote and use, the trust technology is one. Yeah, it does go biblical, Mosaic and Abrahamic, and spiritual and religious, to be fair. And it does go into you know, how you apportion the digital self and the side of the man. When we say, you know, we need you to help us, we will explain this once more and give you the tools for the separation. And once you separate and have it recognized as separated, we can manage a lot better. We have also got the issues of liability. So let's go to the calling of the police and the fabrication of an assault by a 50-year-old concerned father on a consultant. That was a lie or a mix-up. So then we've had the engagement, and we've been told we're not ruled by what's the word now? We're not a police state, and we're ruled by consent. There was no consent. He was holding his daughter's hand, and he was forced away, and suffered a heart attack or a stroke as a result of it. And the mum nearly lost daughter and husband unnecessarily, not consenting to either of the actions going ahead as the set law, because she gave birth. Mum, ownership and all of these properties and titles. I'm surprised she didn't. Have a little mini murmur herself. So no consent, forced, under duress, damages. Who's here now saying, how would you articulate the redress for this? Where would you start? Are you?
Well, I'd like the judge needs pulling the alleged order. I'd like to see that. It ain't signed.
Order for what?
This
Where?
machine, it's just
Go on.
for the switching off.
Ah, yes.
That's what I just heard mentioned in the news report I just listened to.
Yeah.
That they'd previously. So I'd like to see that. Who's accepting liability for that? As I say, who are these people to make those decisions? They're not medically qualified. Fucking idiots. Excuse my French. And then, same thing. What are these officers? How are they getting these people these days? What are they to do that to someone whose daughter's lying there dying? What is the matter with people?
That is a good point, because we often praise and say, well done, officers, due diligence, like that rave down in Avon and wherever. And yeah, we have praise. We're not a channel and a consciousness that slate officers and constabulary in general, constables. But at this time, yeah, we mentioned that you can use your, what did I use that term then? They've got their discretion powers, and they can judge. They're not king for a day in a uniform, are they? Judge and jury. It's an old man and an old lady. They're both doctors. They're professionals, and they had an alternative treatment lined up rather than death. That was the main point there. And the fathers said, all we wanted to do, everyone listen, all we wanted to do was have a chance for the alternative treatment, a few days, okay, 72 precious hours, and we would have consented to the life support being turned off. So the crux of all of this now comes to the point where I've heard the dad say on national news broadcast that they wanted to do that, and they were denied the chance for alternative drugs that have previously, here's the heartbreaking bit now, worked and done well before. They wanted a chance to save their daughter with alternative, I don't know what it was, drugs that have worked before, and they said, no, this is the way it is now. I want you to expand on that, please. There's liability.
Really?
Come on, there's some liability. If that's true,
there's
what he's
liability.
claimed, what's going on there? And how do
There's
we...
an alternative
Oof,
that previously given some results.
that's what he
Now
said.
they've denied it.
That's what he said.
So who has the authority to then deny it? Because nobody in that hospital did right at that point. Absolutely not. So they've made the decision. Somebody there, possibly even that judge, I would say, whoever actually switched the thing on.
Wow.
Or head of
Well,
department.
wait then, because when we went to that hospital at the King's in London, it was a King's hospital in London, we noticed that the chain of command responded when we went what? We went sister of the ward, that everyone forgets about. That's the church set up, your sister, your military church. In the army, you need to have a priest to bless the dead and all that lot, didn't you, as well? So the army and the church have always had I forget the name of that man from such films as Hamburger Hill, Platoon, and what we was on about the other day with the old school renditionings of. But you've got the sister of the ward, and then you've got the registrar again, and there's a star there. You've got him, he's the one, and then you've got the chief exec. And when we went sister, registrar, chief exec, such as liability, needing to know names and insurance policies, and Kev went pretty hard with the technical side on that. They soon jellyfished, and we got control, didn't we? So you see how it's run there as well with that chain of command. As it is, we think they are just hospitals, but they are private organisations, I suppose. Would it not Could we not put it like that? They're all individual trusts, and we have.
They're all trusts now, which shows you they're all sold off already. So all these people that are still going on about, oh, they're selling off the NHS, you've missed the fucking boat. Stop whinging. It's been done.
Yeah, it's that's a sideline now. Back to these points here. They had an alternative, and they were denied, and it must have they were honourable. And being a 10-year, two doctors there as well, having experience. You see, this is another thing when you've got first-hand knowledge. Like it's not we've watched it on the internet in desperation. We're clawing it. These are two calm, intelligent, qualified, licensed, professional, loving, and I think it's their right to actually have a chance. Whom is it that then, if we're going to boil it down to the basic, and I'm sorry again for this, we do it with love and respect, but whom has the right to say that your blood doesn't have the chance to have a second choice? That's what we're saying. Is this not a human right? Is this not why you're in hospital, to get help and cured? So if we boil it down, because this is the crux of it, because sometimes we miss it with the, what we're doing. Who made that decision, and was it a benefit to the patient then? How did you deem that an alternative treatment drug, synthetic compound if necessary, whatever, and deem that by it's worked before wouldn't be a benefit? It's that's when we say, you think these scribes and some of the new ones think that we're hard, or that we've got a grudge against. No, we haven't. We just bring it to how it is, and it's incredibly. Much like the 8-year-old that got arrested and took in a car for 30 minutes by armed police, and he was 12, and his mum come on the news and said, our kid here had a toy gun, and these lot, they went gung-ho. Even the family were held at gunpoint, and they knew it was a toy gun after several minutes. The professional armed SWAT teams and shit, they know when it's a threat or not, and they still went on for 30 minutes. They've been condemned for it. We've got Lord Forsyth condemning the DWP. We've got Lords left, right and centre condemning. They own, it's not Indy, it's not Kev, it's not David, it's not SPL, it's the actual establishment is saying from within, now then, there's a problem, and this is what we need to address. So, a denial of service, a denial of life by somebody in that chain, for what reason? That's what we need to establish. Is it malicious? Is it mandatory? Things like this. Do we need to assign every family that sets up this pack access to an advocate at law? Would you like the chance to ring somebody and have somebody like Kevin, or we'd have to expand this because there may be a big demand, I don't know, but somebody to have a second chance? What would you pay, to have somebody there to go, actually, because if the officers, once you say lawyer, I'm sorry to do this, but it's true, and we've noticed, once you say lawyer, attorney, advocate, and such, because none of us are legally trained, it brings the situation into a whole new paradigm, because then it puts them into the fear mode, you see, because they're putting us into the fear mode, because them in their gang, like the Law Society, the doctors and police and etc., surgeons, consultants, are against us for some reason. And if you raise your voice, here we go, you get put on a violent patient register, or you might get a mark against your name, Kev. And they do this to you as well. Don't they? Do they not? They're vindictive enough to draw curtains and say that you can't be seen, you can't have home visits. They start withdrawing services. They have other means of playing games with people that might challenge the system, or might catch the system out and draw somebody up, and out of maliciousness. This is first-hand knowledge again, and not for any kind of publicity. Kev, have we or have we not got knowledge of that?
First hand.
Yeah.
First-hand, real experience.
Sickening. And from receptionists, there's call recordings from receptionists telling people, please expose this. It's getting to where, she didn't want to come to work. So it's we've got testimonies, we've got prints, we've got reports. What we need to do now is recognise that they'll have another report, and we can watch that, and much like the Lammy report and other reports and the Rayner reports, and we can just watch, and we need to start acting now. And we're here to discuss how you all feel, if you've seen it, what you think, if you've experienced. We'd also like to know, and you can do this in confidence, and we will keep all your details, in trust, private, with us only. You would let us know David and at SPLs, or Kevin at splspro.com. We've got separate ones. You can email us both at the same time with your private experiences. Yeah, we're here to help protect, and it's not a game. It's your life, and it's a battle. It turns out, they run this game um, not with hearts and not with love. They run it with banks and tanks, and we need to step it up and put some armour on then. And I don't know if we could do with having some kind of emergency access where we could offer somebody to trust. All of us, collectively, could offer support through city, country. This is a country issue as well. It's not just England where the doctors have supremacy and the coalition with the local policia. So I'd like to hear other countries' stories if you've got issues there. And like we saw in the beginning with China, they were trying to make it look like they were booting doors and dragging them out of houses. It's rights, and I'm not saying that was real, but
The thing is, I think it's important, once you know what all these entities are, and, like the hospitals being trusts, I think it's like any situation with a supposed authority, you need to be clarifying your position straight away, even if you're looking to use their services. So if you're going into hospital trust, and you make sure they know that you're beneficiary and what they are, it changes everything. It changes, because these people know what we're talking about. You're not talking to like an average copper in the street that just looks at you like you're an alien. These people know. As soon as you start mentioning it, the shit changes quickly. But you've got to establish your status, standard and capacity from the off. You really have. And we've proved how effective that is. It wasn't done initially, but we had to do it on the fly, and the whole situation turned 180.
yeah, we
In a
couldn't.
few words.
Yeah, just imagine though, we couldn't respond to that, ad lib, as is, whenever, randomly, and hope
Right.
to get. That wouldn't be practical. What we need to do is assign everybody with proclamations, declarations, notices, witnesses, in law, legal land. Two witnesses make a fact. It says that from the good JC in the chapters and the Gospels also. So we know how to set things out and about, and then we assign liability. We can have pre-formatted agreements where you can present that to the consultant. So what we're thinking is, when any of us go into these military installations, we're going to have some documents that you can consider taking with you, editable, so you can change them and insert your calling and your estate and trust and executives, secretaries, controllers, and all stuff like this, and then pass that along. And if anybody wants to deviate from your wishes as the beneficiary on that, then they will be putting themselves, and they will have to report to and get authority from your trustee, and you will pretty much be quiet. Your trustee would manage all of that, and liabilities, names, departments, consultants, registrars, sisters would all be noted, and it would all be collated, because these are the masters. It's like an octopus with I don't know, in a maze. It just slithers around, and it can just get around anywhere, because it can feel its way. Do you know what I mean? They're just very tricky, slippery folk. There are some excellent nurses and doctors out there. This isn't an attack, but what we've just seen, it begs. You wouldn't think that would happen in a British institution there, for such little things as who has. It boils down to authority and right. This is life and love over authority and right. There was no crimes, and there was decisions made. Was they correct? Were they wrong? Do you agree? Do you think that somebody's not going to make it? They deserve to give the machine to somebody else. It's yeah. It's not right as far as we see it. So there's many things we pull up there, and falsifying a claim
I
to the
think
police is number one.
I think there certainly should have been a temporary halt to everything for at least a discussion. Not, it shouldn't have gone down like it went
Mediation.
down.
Oh, mediation. You mean some kind of mediation? Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
you could use that word if you like, to tie on.
That's what they should do. Yeah, an agreement. Should we not be giving them some kind of instructions of our wishes? of what we wish and then coming to an agreement. And if we don't agree, maybe we'd like to go elsewhere and do it privately. What's to say that they might not have wanted to say, all right, what we'll do is we'll get a move to a private clinic and we'll pay. What about that option, everybody? Is that not an option? Suddenly, once you're in, and there's only one way out. I'm sorry to the family. I say that with love and respect. If any of this is upset you or anyone, I'll apologise now sincerely. But maybe is it not the family's choice how that gets dealt with?
Well, it certainly can't be suddenly delegated to somebody else to finalise, surely. Right, sorry parents, we're getting you removed by the police and we're switching it off. I don't give a shit what's on a liability order. What sort of people can do that?
Yeah, euthanasia. It's almost like a euthanasia scheme that they're sneaking in. But I know many of these scribes.
I bet she went down as COVID. Be interesting, wouldn't it? Let's have a look.
Incredible. I know most of you would want to, and I would, if it was Anne-Marie, Yanka, my boys, anybody that I loved or was close to me, I'd be like, well, we'll just go private then. No problem. I'll make some calls. We'll get a transfer, and we'll go fully private, and the NHS can pay the bill. Yeah.
We've had some experience of that occurring as well, haven't we?
Or another continent to see a doctor, a professional doctor. Go somewhere else, get a doctor flown in from somewhere. That's even the alternative therapy. Go on. What have we seen? Go on, bro. Sorry.
I've lost the thread now.
I was saying alternatives with going to different hospital, different doctor. Yeah.
Again, we discovered with the guy we were helping, in the hospital that time. After all that, and he was back home, then we discovered we could get him private paid for, didn't we?
By the NHS, yeah.
But they don't tell you about all that. That's something else we discovered. So there are options out there. I wonder how many of these things were offered to these people. You see, this is the trouble. If you don't know about it, they don't tell you about it. They only tell you what you're not entitled to. But the fact of the matter is, it's only because we were so involved trying to get this guy sorted out that all this stuff got discovered. Oh no, you can go and see you want, really. Just go through this process and they'll okay it. And basically, you go private wherever and whoever you want, more or less, and they pick up the bill. But they don't tell you that. So as I say, I wonder if this family were ever offered that. Because then I would say that was a failure in duty of care, as well as everything else. Surely that's cruel and unjust punishment being pulled away. Surely that comes under the Charter of Human Rights. What happened to them today? Not today. In the video, I meant. Sorry.
Yeah.
Surely.
Well, we have explained that the force of law is governed by the rule of law, and those are issues of the UN charters and international. Yes, they are ruled by. We pointed this out before, so in previous videos. Yeah, you're right. So exactly. Accrington Stanley. Who are they? Yeah, they are governed and they are watched and they are monitored. So it's not just an in-house operation. That's what I say it is, and what we say, it's a continental thing here. We'd like to know your state troopers, officers, city and hospitals, how do they treat you? And when it's your property, such as a son and daughter, and it's in a deathbed situation, the actual statement was deathbed arrest. I didn't choose that. That was on the release. So it's harrowing, is what it is. And I don't know if all of you lot would stay calm. There may be, assault there on officers by some initiates and scholars because they love the love that man has. If another man comes in, if one man doesn't have the right to judge another man, what man has the right to turn off another man's life? Yeah.
Yeah. And to be so blasé about it, that's what's really disturbing.
So in
You know,
defence, yeah, we can in positivity, in light of positivity, we can look at proclamations and declarations, and then after that, some kind of celebration, I would imagine. But yeah, you would know how to use your data self initially, your person, entities, your asset, legal asset, wise, birth certificate and signature, equitable instrument, certificate, equitable asset, signature, and man. And we are there are various ways of correcting relationships misconstrued, unconscionable actions upon us, and yeah, we haven't got all the answers, but we've got a way of you testifying too, and anybody. It's basically holding people account. When I said earlier to Kevin, when they know anybody, a self-appointed authoritarian in this instance, in the form of, when they know that you have A or B, which is support, and somebody like a lawyer, advocate, someone that's got a lot of money and they can just call upon their brief at a drop of a whim, and they're there going, oh, well, yeah. So, or if you've got anything recording, a witness, devices, machinery, emails and stuff that have got recording abilities on, then they know they're being monitored, or they know you're backed up, then things change again. And half of what Kevin, and the trust SPLs want to do is connect you lot up through this technology so you can all support each other with us. We will bring you up to speed. We want you to have the same knowledge and capabilities as us. It's not a hierarchy. And then we slowly, like a fungus, I don't want to be horrible, but like a fungus, spread across the top of the surface of Britain, and implant all of this new what way of business. It's man needing to know when you're doing business, and half the time you don't know you're in a trust technology using that, and you don't know you're doing business, and you're not legally trained, and you don't speak legalese, so you're in quite a handicap. Don't feel bad, because we've all been there, and it is quite an art form, is it not, Kev?
yes, it's hard work at times to say. Once you realise the relationship you're travelling on. But yeah, it's not easy. It depends on what the situation is. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff to remember. Hardest one is remain calm.
Yes.
Under pressure. That's the hardest one. Or if it's all coming on top of it quick, whatever's going on. But that's the most. Try, keep calm, but know you are. But yeah, it's not that easy, and obviously it's not like we are involved in situations every day where we can practice this stuff every day. I'd be most concerned with myself if I was having confrontations with authority every day at my age.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I get what you're
it's
saying.
hard work, It's hard work. It's not a lot to remember. I say it's just about, because they will always. Doesn't matter where you are, hospital, street, police, nurses, all that. We've seen it. They will try. Even the doctors will try and antagonise the situation, just like the police can do in some situations. Not saying all of them, but they don't generally help. They need to get the revenue, get a few ticks in boxes, so they tend to G it up rather than chill it out.
Well, they are reimbursed for stuff as well, and they are got certificates, national insurance numbers, and access to, payments of, and we have apparently paid into this system with the is it NI contributions, national insurance, alongside your tax, your statutory enrolment for your pension system, NI and tax. These funds have been put in there by the sweat equity of our forefathers and man itself. It's not a free national health service. It's been paid for and built by the sweat of us and the forefathers and lineages. So there's a morality there as well, is there not? That it's been
Yeah,
paid for, and how it's come to exist. It is subsidised, I know that, and quite rightly so. We just had that, like I said, Rainer report, was it, that asset stripping and so forth after all of this. So it's a big mess. It really is, this business. And once we appreciate, like the presumed consent for organ donation, for those that don't know, we'll say it again. That's and I didn't know until recently. The claims are organ donation has to be done whilst alive. Can anybody confirm or deny? Have you heard such claims? Kevin and I were speaking before, and we was discussing, can organs be taken at brain dead stage, and after, or are they taken whilst there is a heartbeat and a signal? I'd like to know.
Nice.
Rumours, urban myths sometimes, but I don't know if it is actually true, Kev. I'd like to know.
No, well, I've heard, I mean, obviously things deteriorate very quickly once everything stops pumping round, so they have to be really quick anyway, you know? But a lot of these ones where they you know, I mean, there's even questions over the reality of brain death.
Oh, yes.
So, you know, as I was saying to you earlier, imagine being in the state where they're going brain dead, but you couldn't do anything, and now they're going to start taking all your organs out. Well, basically, you're still alive. Nice. What a terrible thought.
Harvest, yeah, it's.
But I don't think they've got very long. As I say, once stuff starts pumping round, everything starts rotting quite quickly, I believe.
You know, we haven't said hello to the room and said seen who's in. I've just realised.
Let's go back to the top.
Sorry, everyone.
Well, look at them all enjoying themselves in there. Bloody loads of comments.
Look at them.
Do you want me to go? Or are you going?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, fill your boots. Like.
Anders, Shadow, Michael Barnes. All right, mate. Go mad. Lev, Fly. How you doing, mate? Claire, evening. Quinn, hello, mate. Hope you're all right. Jerry, good evening, mate. Shadow, we see him twice. Hello again. All right, mate. How you doing? Who else?
I've seen Alias 69, Mickey Finn at the bottom there. Ewok.
Just getting
G-Star.
Oh yeah, Alias, nice one. Ewok. Mickey. G-Star, there you are. From afar. Hope you're alright, mate. Hope everybody's well. Nice bit of chatter going on in La Room. What is this world? Good evening.
Someone's having a coffee. Can't have a toke without a coffee. I know that feeling, and I long for those days again. Yeah, go mad. Toke. That's such a. Oh wow, that's taken me back to being at school. Sorry, I'm skimming the comments as you're shouting out. I'm looking for the content.
Yeah, Andy, 1, 2, 3. You crack on, mate.
Hippocratic oath, Lisa Gray. First, do no harm. I don't think. Wait there. I don't think that the doctors take a Hippocratic oath if we check that out anymore. I think it might just have skipped that stage, but judging by it.
Yes. Hi, Lisa. Hope you and James are okay. Still got family with you? Kids, how's it all going? Getting ready for proper weather again? Not like us sun lovers down here. Gets to -1 and we're all crying.
Steve R has put a comment in at the bottom. Thank you, Steve. That is really.
Hang on, I'm getting there. Yeah, Chippy Paul, JJ, how you doing?
Oh, wow.
Steve R. Reptile. I've got to that one.
No, it's quite at the bottom, I think. Oh, bless him. Bless his little cotton socks. You'll find that everybody, Stevie R, is a little bit of a reptile in the gestation period of the embryotic stage. There is a trimester of, obviously that gives it away, 3 try. and at one of the trimesters, it might be the first or the first to the second, there is the tail effect, and it is indistinguishable. Easy for me to say with the front tooth
Yeah.
missing. It's indistinguishable at the embryotic whatever stage of that lizardy type tail thing on the human formation and the lizard, and if you compare them, they are both, and then we've got the gland in the brain. I'm not bigging up lizards, by the way. Apparently, the Dragos and whatever, it's just, I find him hilarious. He's really cheered me up, and I'd like to thank you, Steve, for that conjecture of everywhere in California he sees lizard people. Is anyone here a lizard? So, by proxy, default, genetic, formation, and we're all lizards, brother. Word up. So, we've come to find. He's gone, I think, but that might be been wasted. But there you go. Continue with the shout outs.
Yeah, Andy Greg's in the house. All right, Andy, how are you, mate? Hope you're all right. Nice to see you. Justin, I haven't seen your name before. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Mia, there she is.
Just a walking down the street singing do a diddy bum. Sorry, that just. I would like to say that if we didn't have this title and theme here tonight, I was going to come on and do some rappy type, and I know I can't sing. I'm doing it for the comedic value and to show you. I was going to come on the camera with the missing tooth and recite. "Stay awake" by example. So you may have seen some screenshots there, but this has taken precedent. The fun, the party, the toothless wonder that's out of tune like an old piano is going to come and see you another day.
What's your rapper name? Toothy Grin.
Minus. No, I'm called Minus because I'm missing one, aren't I? So I just say I'm Minus, man. Yeah. Respect Minus. Easy Minus. It's what I'm known as on the circuit now. Too obvious, you see. Minus. That's clever, that, because it's missing, isn't it? You see. So rather than I'll take that. Minus. I am Minus.
You're quite liking it, really, aren't you? You're not.
Yeah, Marie says you got to get that sorted, Dave. Stop speaking, because I can't stop speaking, and you go out shopping and you bump into folk and random strangers, and then you realise and they're looking at it and you're like, oh, yes. I smile at them to show it them all.
Say Anne-Marie punched it out a couple of weeks ago.
Stop it. Back to...
That's always a giggle.
But yeah, if you'd like to just have a look at... It starts off with, if we don't kill ourselves, we'll be the leaders of a messed up generation. Followed by, if we don't kid ourselves, will they believe us if we tell them the reason was why? And I, over my time, I've played him and others hundreds of times. I've self-programmed with music. And some of the tracks, when I look back, accidentally, I admit, finding these messages, artists' feelings or songwriters codified, subconscious messages, either or. I realised some of them weren't that bad, and I had quite a good navigating DJ selector, where it wasn't all boom boom and negative. Some of the messages, when I look back, are quite humbling. When I saw that he's got a verse that says, we got faith, we don't need Bibles. Don't take the mic or hear my recital. It's quite vital. I hold the title. We get high on the opposite of night. Oh, I'm like, I'm gonna enjoy doing this one. So that's what's going to be coming up next from the Minus megastar of YouTube. But the lyrics quite apparent, and like New Order, Blue Monday. I know we've drifted from hospitals and property and identity. Let's get back
It was just gone a little bit lighter-hearted for a moment, that's all.
Yeah, back to usual chatter. That's what happens when you get your head in the room.
Yeah, it was, it was quite a dark thing gone on there, and so we've seen it firsthand. Other people are being treated, etc., etc. So yeah, it's quite a painful subject in some ways.
When we talk about man and property, then that is the most precious, your most precious is, man's most precious. You know, we say you're an asset to your family, you're an asset to the community, you're an asset to your employer, you are an asset financially if you think about it, because you earn and give revenue, you've got assets. And our blood is man's greatest asset. The one true currency is not pounds, it's not gold, it's not Bitcoin, it's trust and love. What you would do for, you know, the love of, you would kill. Some parents, I know from seeing and knowing, and you know, I know that you know, and you know that I know, and I know that we all know. So we'll carry on. Parents will kill. Mums and dads, papas and mamas will, you know, and it's been reported as such. So, you know, there's been cases of mums doing, what was it now? Is it David? No, let me think. Steve Austin style, lifting up the car to get the sun out. It's been reported, you know, in Ripley's Believe It or Not, or that magazine that you like.
Superhuman strength.
What? Yeah, Stanley Superhumans and that, where mum's got that much.
In moments of need, sort of thing.
Mum lifts car to save such and such. It's actually happened. So it's like, hang on a minute then. So it's a bit like when you come out of mum and you are entered, your soul, the body, the flesh, you know, natural flesh and blood man is here, or woman, and you're out the womb, and then a few weeks later you're assigned a docket number, a ticket to how much debt that you owe that you need to. When we say you're an asset, then, you know, securitized assets and stuff financially, stocks and bonds, and how they do that, it's quite unconscionable, isn't it? That's the bit where we are looking to be the principal and putting them as to be the principal, and looking at it in a different way. The right. So the key bit that I'm going to get to is that we will remedy this by the age-old technique of proving rights to property, the title. So it depends what title you claim initially. So in all caps, Mr. can't be a set law, can they, everyone? It's a bit like when we tried to go into a public court and argue common law or private banking bills of exchange, and hoping to service the debt with the offering up of a promissory note using a private remedy in a public courthouse that was running on different law, not meeting them properly, and then accusing them of, and then getting a summary judgment. So we was mixing the oil and the waters, and so now we've got a bit more astute at the parameters and the guidelines. We know certain things and we can prove certain things, and the wondering is gone and the articulation is here. So we're not promising the earth. All we're promising, I'm promising, the trust SPLs is that we'll show you what we do to protect, and what we say and how we say it, and to claim, and then we'll show you where the rules are for this. Like there's been a rumor in the Freeman circuit for years, and I found out through discovery. And when you get these moments, you can all compare this moment to your own unique one. But when you hear in the Freeman circuit, you can take a PCM back to the council within 3 days, and it's non-returned, it's non-contract, it's null and void. And I've got a video on here of me doing it, because I hear these things, so we test them out and see. And then when later down the line, you're doing your discovery research and back your head in things, and you see in the bills of exchange that under the law of contract, if you are not happy with any services rendered and such, in the actual paragraph, it says you have 72 hours in which to notify and cancel and reclaim and refunds and etc., recension of contracts and cancellation. You will notice yourself when you enter into an agreement which is offered as a contract, which is really an agreement with agents and agencies of, and you will get a cancellation. It's normally 2 weeks. I think your statutory, legislative, consumer credit and so forth governs about a 2-week calling off period of which you can cancel freely. But there is the offer of contract in the bills of exchange there, and it was clearly written and said and quoted. If any of you have got more info articulate to this, stick it in. But that's where that comes from. And when I found that by accident, I was like, aha, so that's why they say when you take them tickets back within 3 days, then it means that you haven't got the. But where does it? It's a bit like the 3 dots. Okay, we hear that and we like it, but who, what, why, where, and when, and publications and authority and whatnot. It sounds good, it looks good, but can we back it up? And the Clearfield Doctrine looks good. We like that. We checked it out. It's nothing to do with what it said. So you sometimes win
No,
and you sometimes lose, don't you, Kev?
yeah, it wasn't. I mean, it's pertinent, but not in the way, and it certainly didn't dissolve any courts as such.
Yeah, yeah.
It still stands, but it's more to do with the fraudulent or dodgy checks and the practices of the banks rather than, as I say, so all those numbers where you've seen that, all courts dissolved, whatever it was, 11th of May, whatever, and all the numbers.
Fictitious. Poppycock.
Fictitious.
Poppycock.
Yeah.
Let's get one in. I know some of you love that, so...
Yeah, I was waiting for that, Dave.
and so I hope we're feeling a little bit more happier. It's good to see you all. Sorry for cancellations. It's me slowing down. 42 anons. A lot's going on. My life has kind of been turned upside down, flipped inside out. A little bit with things like your all has. I think the whole realm is kind of depressed, in a depression, in one way or another. Plans thrown out the window. I had a marriage and a house to look at acquiring, one way or the other. Yeah, it's energy is used carefully now. I also like to update you all and say it's about 16 weeks till the end of December. And I said this would be the last year for misery, sorrow, pestilence, heartache. We said it would be a big year, and little did we know the delights and joys and pitfalls and horrors that we've seen this year up to August so far in the 8 months. So we got 4 left. I'm aware, and I promised on this channel it will be the last. We have got some information with regards to how we're going to use the exit strategy. And I'm going to explain that another time, but that's got about 3 pathways out, of which are all viable, and we are structuring them as we speak. Notices, declarations, and that's still ongoing. International treaty, declaration, peace, treaty, declaration we're looking at doing. If you want to help with that, jump in and you let us know. The venue for the seminar annual meeting, we need to confirm. We've got a Liverpool one, a Devon one, a Birmingham one to choose from. If you'd like to meet up and discuss and have a face-to-face, if you can give us a venue which has got camping facilities, I know it's asking a lot, a big field next to some kind of venue would be mint, and we'd stay, get some vans and tents and maybe some nice weather and have a 48-hour affair if we could. That would be done, and I would facilitate that and arrange it and organise it. So we're looking at that. Thank you for the ones that have offered so far. I will be at home in the office this week now and doing some emails. So yes, we're going to do some admin. I'll sort out some documents and catching up with everybody. Interfacetheatre.com, Facebook and YouTube again. Kev and I, through our emails that we have assigned, you'd used our names and then put at splspro.com. So use us both, or one or the other, and they'll get to us privately, all secure. And once you email us, you agree to enter into a private trust essentially, and we keep it private. We honour that lawfully and LOR fully, privately, and we do our best to get to you as soon as we can. I am rather behind there, but oh yeah, no pressure. The remedy, administrative please, and we'll have a meeting and celebrate a little bit of relaxation. That's if no. Notice the sea people talk when I say the second wave, crest, ocean, wave, virus. What's that got to do with that? But there you go, a second wave, allegedly. The fear again. I'm sure that this system has to put an element of fear in everything at all times. There's always something, isn't there? You can never. Have you ever known a time where you've gone, yes, now everything's fixed and there's nothing to worry about. We're all where we need to be. The bills are paid, the money's in the bank. I got my savings, holidays planned, kids are mint. Sorry, offspring's mint, etc. The car, vehicle, horse, business, bills, everything's just where it needs to be. There's nothing on the news that worries you. That would be a fine day, but you could actually usher that in if we try. We could actually. There's more of us, I'll let you speak, Kev.
I might not want to.
I'll read.
No, Simon, hello mate, I don't recall calling your name out, so I apologise for that. I'm sure your comments were going back a bit further. Good impression, Mr. Ed. Dave, Jerry says.
Nice one. I did like that. A horse is a horse, of course, unless of course. Look at this, see programming. Why? I don't need it, but I did used to like Mr. Ed. Affinities with horses. Zorro, he weren't bad. Tonto and Thingy, was he? Yeah, that was all right. But Black Beauty, oh, that had nice beginning music, didn't it? At the beginning, everyone weren't that lovely, eh? You know when that was on, people used to come running from the fields. Unlike Little House on the Prairie, we used to run to the fields. Not that. The Waltons. Oh, just don't make telly like they used to. The proper telly, that weren't it? Eh? Proper telly.
Still nothing to watch.
We've been tricked under duress, yes. Titles and property and answering to and claiming of names. I did a quiz thing on a couple of the platforms, and I said about living man and dead man. So if a living man, natural flesh and blood, has a mark, a thumb mark, and identity, essentially, I know the word identity and the danger of it, but just hear me out. They have a presence, a mark, a seal. It's not a print because that's something else. A thumb mark is one. You can have a signet ring, and you can have other such ways of identifying signatories, signets, rings, and thumbprints. That's a living man. So then I said, what do dead men have? And only one out of all of Facebook audience got it right on two of the profiles there, and I don't think anyone on Tube got it right, and I forget the name of the one that got it right, but the answer is name. Dead entities, legal persons, estates, assets, things, objects. Name is the way that you would say. So if anybody, I've trained Yanker like this. Yanker, if anybody says what's your name, answer this way. And this comes from Josh X, how he trained up little Josh X, and he goes like this. Hello there, what's your name? Yanker will reply, I don't have a name. Names are for companies and dead things. I have a calling. You may call me Yanker. Boom. 13 years of age. Name and calling. Separation. Simple. Clear facts. She'll go far in life just with that little thing there, won't she, eh?
Yeah.
Start like that. And it's at school. She said it a couple of times. Who's told you that? Me dad. Oh, you've got a clever dad. That's back from school. I'm like, come on then. They love it. Little ones, we start there with things like that, just changing little habits. The words, they're tiny, but they're powerful.
Exactly. They're your sword.
Like my eyes. Shh, I hear what you said. Who said that? So I'm looking in the room again. I've seen bananas and boats. What's going on? I'm worried.
Yeah, I've seen bananas, banana bread. Lisa and James sound like they're up to their necks in salmon guts and salmon. In between, I think she said rhubarb bread and red salmon caviar, which sounds like I don't know, there's nothing strange right there, but yes, rhubarb against the caviar, that sounds very interesting. Sounds good to me. Run away.
Gomads rode Black Beauty when they was a kid. That's a good claim to fame, that is. There was about 6 of them.
Agent of Lloyd's Bank.
That's what they are. They've exposed their true self. Lloyd's Bank advert.
We know. You're giving it away.
I want bananas. Oh, Jesus is in. Menza, easy now. So, for those that haven't seen or heard, we've put some links in the beginning of the video. I think I've got some up still here. I've got a link for the substantial. We might not touch upon all of this tonight, but from the parliament.uk. I'll put these in the comments later. This is a link for the reforms that they. Oh, it's too many characters. Damn it! How do I do this? Substantial reform. Yeah, these are the keywords you'll need to search, and then you'll come to parliament.uk report for the information. The review of what's that just posted? There we go. Substantial reform, universal credit. Search for that, and that will take you to this website that's got 31st of July. The Economic Affairs Committee publishes its report. Universal credit is not working. Proposals for reform which call upon the government to make substantial changes to universal credit in order to protect the most vulnerable. And you've got some PDFs entitled Report Universal Credit Isn't Working, Inquiry, the Economics of Universal Credit, and the committee. There's a bit of a background to saying that universal credit is failing millions of people, particularly the most vulnerable. Wow. The Economic Affairs Committee agrees with the original aim of universal credit, but blames the scheme's design for soaring rent arrears and the use of food banks. Cuts to social security budgets over the last decade is causing widespread poverty and hardship. Universal credit needs urgent investment to catch up and provide claimants with adequate income. The temporary increase in the standard allowance in response to the COVID-19 pandemic shows that the previous level of awards was too low. The increase should be made permanent. The government is using UC to recover debt, mostly 6 billion of historic tax credit debt. Deductions of up to 30% of the standard allowance, and in some cases more, can be taken from claimants. This has left many households with less money than they are entitled, and often at no fault of their own. So tax credit debt should be written off as unlikely to be repaid. There we call for a debt amnesty, my scribes. That's what we'd say there. The 5-week wait for the first universal credit payment is the main case of insecurity. You don't say. The wait entrenches. I think it's 2 weeks before you get arrears in council tax, before they start threatening you, by the way, everyone. 2 weeks. All right? That wait entrenches debt, increases extreme poverty, and harms vulnerable groups disproportionately. The government should introduce a non-repayable 2-week grant to all claimants. The way payments are calculated can result in large fluctuations. Income month to month, making it extremely difficult for claimants to budget. The level of awards should be fixed. And then there's a Lord Forsyth of Drumleen, the chair of the Economic Affairs Committee. He's given a paragraph. There's subsequent further findings and another 10 further points. So, including childcare support and universal credit was a mistake. They've said paying awards on a monthly basis does not reflect the way many payments live. The government is doubling the number of work coaches in response to potential level of high unemployment. The UK has some of the most punitive sanctions in the world, but there is limited evidence saying that they have a positive effect. Removing the people's main source of support for extended periods risk pushing them further into poverty, indebtedness and reliance on food banks. There is a substantial body of evidence which shows that sanctions harms people's mental health. The government should evaluate the current length and level of sanctions. They're military, by the way, everyone. Here's the military form again. It should also expedite its work on introducing a written warning system before the application of a sanction. Sanctions must be a last report. So let's say, here for Lord Forsyth of Drumleen, I yield.
Yeah.
See, it's not all
Fair
bad.
play to him.
They're not all bad, see? Get it.
No. So I want to make contact with him now.
There's loads more. I'm not reading all that out. It goes on and
No.
there's PDFs, and I'll upload the PDFs to the .com and you can share it that way and you can search yourself. But it's. I'm sorry, but I'm going to say it. It's too little, too late. It's the horse bolting, and now we've just shut the door. But Black Beauty's off. 6 Black Beauties have legged it, and we've just closed the barn door, and we've got our lass out there and the scribes running around on our Black Beauties, and we're in trouble, look. But we're going to go and get, it's too late. He said mental health. It's a fact. So it's not even funny. Suicides, it would be in there, I would imagine. If not, we draw attention to that. So. Yes, we got the schools reopening in about 4 weeks. We got pubs closing now, getting ready for the schools opening as we're all going out to eat, but staying at home, but going out, and the eradication of the middle class. It's a truly unique time out here at the moment. Do you not find?
It certainly is. Yeah, it's been a unique year, isn't it, so far? Quinn, I don't know anybody that's done it, as the flesh. I mean, I've corrected who I am with them, made it very clear on lots of occasions who I am and who my person is that they want to deal with. Which it does make a difference. It does make a difference when you point to it. Say it's not until it gets up the line a little bit. None of the idiots that are first reading this stuff have got a clue what's going on. So, they just think you've written to them in Swahili or something. But yeah, I don't know. But obviously that's the whole thing. I don't need to explain it to you. But, you're the flesh and blood that pays into the system. And then they want to deny you a bit of paper, any access to those entitlements, but you are the one that's entitled to it. Regardless of the bit of paper, you're the one that's paid in. Blood, sweat and tears.
Creditor. Yeah, well, you're the... Listen, we're not just speaking creditor, we're talking the principal as well, the PAL, by us being, created, sparked, incepted, born, and in fact birthed and registered. That whole process, because of the gold and the insolvency and the bankruptcy, as I wrote in a post earlier in FB SPLs, I said, we are looking at the monetary mechanics and the governance and the way that it works here, and with the no backing of anything, man has effectively become the currency of the sweat equity and the labour force there. It's a cold, harsh reality that runs these codified secular systems of currency. And these claims, we claim, they give you a clue because it's a claim in life. We've told you, and there's the clue there again. You make the claim, don't you? You make that claim, and they govern whether, but it's how you make the claim and how you use that. I would imagine you wouldn't be able to submit or file or even lodge your own unique specified. You could require from them provisions, and they would offer you their forms. You see, you could try every trick in the book, but they would want your signature on their paper unless you got alternative provisions from alternative members of government like the Home Secretary, Secretary of State and Home Department. I would imagine involving the Treasury ordinance with the Lords Rishi and Boris, etc., and managed it that way. You get your alternative provisions as a conscientious objector and a man of faith. Don't need Bibles, we got faith. Don't take the Michael. Hear my recital, it's quite vital. That's such a good lyric, and it fits as well. So there are ways, and we will look at that. Ministers popping up. Have you noticed? There's reverends and there's ministers, and everyone's going to the church now. But what kind of church? I want to put this into the mix. It's been brought to my attention, and I've said it before by going faithless. God is a DJ. This is my church, is it? This is my steeple. Something. This is where I heal my hurt. Yeah, he says that at the beginning, doesn't he, with the orchestral build-up and that before the actual kicking in of the track. It's quite euphoric. So churches, ministry of sound, MOS, ministry of sovereigns. We've had a kirk and a church and a talk about the body, the temple, where the church is, and your body could be, the estate, the church itself under the dome. So ministers popping up, giving themselves free churches is my question. I'm all over them, and we're all about them. But what's the difference between a free church and a normal church? Well, they're not registered, and they're independent, and they're a covenant of their own, and it's a human right to have your religious and political and social covenants respected. So they're allowed, if you would like them, a bit like the traveller ethnicity that we pointed out that was enforced in. And I gave to you freely, just to remind you, if our Graham's here with a quick reminder, because we forget quite easily, don't we? So there's a lot there to chew on, and I want to know, are you a member of a free church? Have you formed a free church? You ever seen a free church? Is there a free church near you? What do you think of them? Do you think they're all right? I personally think they are, because we're having a church kind of trust church here now. So proclaim, testify, testy, so it all ties in quite weirdly. I yield.
Yes. What's going on, mate? Even more being added.
Has anybody got a copy of the Hermetica? I will give you 5 golden sovereign stars virtually, but I really mean that. If you are such a conscience and you could look at the Hermetica or and the Kabbalion with the printed, in front of you, or the PDF. I haven't got prints, I've got PDF. So the hymns of Hermes, things like this. You're gonna, if you want a booster to where we're going. And Greg's got a G-Star's got a documentary for me to watch after the 5th kind. We're going into children that can see blindfolded, the cards colour like red, green, blue or yellow, instantly guess what colour is in their lap. They can run around assault courses blindfolded while doing something else. There's a unique set of offspring in the north of England that Greg's seen a documentary on Amazon, I believe. I'm going to catch up with the inside scoop, but the quantum field has just said hello through our offspring, I believe, and it's recorded and documented there. That's going to be a joy and pleasure to look at.
Hang on, got ruckus in the camp.
You got Burglar Bill?
Who are you shouting at? You noisy cow. Sorry, everybody. Do you want to go out? Bloody animals getting all stroppy. I don't know whether there was a noise outside or something, but Dixie certainly heard something.
Let them go.
Yeah, all 4 of them.
Hello, Wendy. See, I like your comments. Thank you for your lovely comments, Wendy. I appreciate everyone's comments, but Wendy's particularly a loving, positive lady, I've noticed. So thank you, Wendy. You make
Hello,
my
Wendy.
heart smile.
Good to see you, yeah. Wonderful soul in the house. Lovely to see you.
If anybody picks on Wendy, they've got me to deal with.
Oh, trouble.
Yes, yes, Simon. There is a team of us going to work on some documents, and Simon, myself, Kevin, Q, and who else have we got? Claudio have been put together, so we have a little mini mastermind going to work on church, quantum, law. I'm very excited about this, so thank you to all of those names. Claudio, I don't think is here. Simon and Quinn are, you and me. Yeah, just missing Claudio, so 4 of us are here. I'm very excited, and it should be, done in it. We've got. I've just said 16 weeks. So no pressure, men. But you are in this with me now. Some of it.
The miserable weather's on its way, so we'll have plenty of time in.
No way. Yeah, I see that.
Excuse me.
Just this a minute. My neighbours are coming out.
Take in some liquid.
Let's look at the room. What's your name and where do you come from? He's turned into Scylla as G-Star. Chippy Paul's going through a sanction himself.
Yeah, I saw him say that. You can always contact me in the private, mate, on the Kevin at SPLS Pro, if you want to have a chat about that. Obviously, I need to know what Guam might be able to give you some direction there, mate. Should you require it? No drama. It's all good, brother. Yeah.
I'll get the homepage here. So I'm still on Parliament UK. I'm going to try something. Here we go. I've got the home page. I'm going to post their link in before I close the tab down. There we go. That's where you'll find that report for the DWP and the Lord's report reforms
Yeah.
on that site. Gosh.
We were right here waiting for you to come back, Wendy. When you lost us for a second. Oh, I let the beast in again. Oh.
So it's going to be quite simple, the first steps, but those that want to embark on proving what property is theirs, essentially, we put you in the correct state of standing and capacity. I'd just like to say that from my experience and research and diligence, this system, this public system that we use, nobody's supposed to make it in this system. It's just a system designed to keep you ticking over. There are very few that manage to excel, and make it in the grand scheme of things. Some become celebrities, sports players, pop stars. There is a small percentage they allow to step up to give the rest of us hope that one day we could be the next, whatever it is, celebrity Love Islands and Big Brothers, and I've been part of it as I've grown up, and then I've realised what go on and what we've done. Instead of using that time for, we've invested it in programming by proxy of, so substitution of knowledge. So it's time now where we teach, and we'll get it written down, and you can pass it around friends and family, and you can edit, you can input. We got quite good at documents. It'll probably end up in a few people's inboxes. We want it to be shared, and we'll teach you, and we'll give you references to all of the places where we source and citate the evidences for our defence when we offer lawful defence in a legal claim situation, whether it be for charges or what property that's being threatened. We deal with blood property, your sons and your daughters primarily. We deal with horses, known as cars and automobiles, houses, money, and charges secondly. And we try not to go in criminal because it's just above and beyond. We have no experience, it's messy, and it's generally particular. And I, for one, can't do that. No, but these civil things here, that's kind of bridged on a criminal issue, you'd argue. Breaches and disregard and lack of respect. And once again, yeah, to that family, it's incredible that we've seen on national news local, officers rank and file taking control of a hospital deathbed situation, making an arrest, giving a man a heart attack. This is in September 2019. It's been surfaced recently over the last few days. It's an ongoing case. I dare say claims and counterclaims looking at it, and we will protect the little blood freely, and we will offer, the Christian Concern and those Rashid support freely, and prioritise it should they get into trouble. We tried it in Liverpool when we were asked to go by Thomas and Sarah Evans to Alderhay. We've done it and we tried it there, but there was no interaction, so we didn't get a chance to do. The Evanses didn't come and speak to us. Only external members did of the family, and the priest we had a chat with, and the interaction, and we asked for rites of passage through the holy seas. We had the lingo, we had it, and it was ready. It was all ready to be done. So this little reminder here is a little bit of a little cut salt in the wound for these little souls. And it could be anyone. It could be my Yanker, it could be my boys, it could be your mum, it could be a grandma, it could be somebody, anywhere. And we need to iron this out. Whom, is running the show? And can we respectfully and honourably get this self-appointed authoritarianism, malicious game playing, obfuscating, subversion, nastiness, just how it is, because the nurses are shit on by the government, a bit like the police and the army and everybody. They have an attitude of, we get the public going in drunk and disorderly and with COVID or whatever, it's common flus and etc. And it's not a pretty easy job at all. And I take my hat off to the ones that do that, but we need to meet in the middle respectfully. And if they're going to carry on the way they are and treat our sons and daughters as products and you know, certain things like this, and the poor family there and others that we're going to hear about and what we've seen ourselves. It's intolerable. The CQV can go to the back of the queue. This is real serious, you know, work here, where every family will see that video and then wonder at the back of their mind, what if that happens to us? Yeah, so we have an answer, but it would involve you paying attention and doing some work and doing some research. And if you can cope with that, then you can protect your family, can't you?
Indeed. Which is what it's all about. Got to protect your assets, got to protect yourself first and foremost. You and yours.
Your vested interest in them. There's a lot of terms that you could have vested, yeah.
You take care of that first and then do what you can for others if that's your situation. But yeah, got to get your own house in order. Charity begins at home and all that malarkey. Apparently. Yeah, I think Lisa and James are mentally busy this time of year. Fair play to them.
We would like to know, yeah, if there's any reports, stories, updates from other countries, hospitals, troopers, interactions. I'm sure, you know, a lot of the cases. This is just a highlighted case here that does happen more frequently than it should happen. I would just like to say that I imagine that there's quite a lot of instances similar to this, what are mediated professionally and sensitively and honourably, but from time to time, when things go wrong, this is the worst case scenario here. It was, well, it could have been worse. The dad could have not recovered from that heart attack, and then the mum could have been widowed and, you know, ostracised from the daughter as well. So, wow, it just shows you that if this small situation of two elderly professional doctors at their, you know, dying daughter's bedside can turn into this, then somebody that's not quite, you know, that reserved may easily create something like this without even knowing it. If you're seen to raise your voice or show any passion, it's mistaken as anger and a mark is put against you. And this needs to be regulated. We need to actually have some independent control, because at the minute, these physicians, sisters, consultants, registrars, executives have got the free reign, it seems, and nobody's bringing it in to check, to, you know, and it really is an area of concern for us, and it will be for most families, I'm sure. We can understand that. So there is no defence for what we've seen there, but there is defence to say that I'm sure a lot of situations go off, you know, otherwise we'd know about it. If evil was winning the game, things wouldn't be like this. It may seem that like evil is winning the game, this is what I'm trying to say, but really I think somebody else is in control for the time being. I think there are limitations, and we've seen that when we find the limitations and we apply them, quite often they work. So evil is present, but I don't think evil has the upper hand, is what I'd like to end, is what I'm trying to articulate. And we can defend it, defeat it in some ways. They're not that complicated, but it involves you and your willingness. So it's not lost, but it will be if you don't act or execute, perform a good deed. In that order. What do you think?
Right.
We'll read the room and get off. Are you feeling? You feeling saturated? Have you got to?
I must admit, I'm dipping a little bit. It's coming at 11:30.
Yeah, we've done all right.
We've been on for a couple of hours, haven't we? Nearly. Haven't done too bad. To say I'm sort of a little bit jaded. It's no own fault, but yeah, not as bad as it was yesterday. I just the phone went on to silent. I wasn't speaking to anybody. Oh dear.
You did right, lad. You did right.
It's all good.
So I just want to read something then that I want to read something about the particular quote from the thumbnail, and I just want to just highlight something then before I read the room. But
Right.
on very rare occasions, when there is a risk to the safety of our staff or obstruction and interference with the delivery of care and treatment, it is then necessary for us to seek help from the police, and that's the actual hospital statement. But the reason the police were called in that instance was because somebody chose to run in front of the path of the father and put themselves there as an obstacle from what the dad has claimed, Papa Rashid, and then that has led to a subsequent claim. So again, I'd say it's like I once saw Blackadder. Well, this is going back for the mums and dads. I once saw Blackadder in the early 90s say to Baldrick, run into my. He had his hand outstretched and he was making a fist. I must add then for you to get this. Baldrick, I cannot be bothered to punch you. Kindly run into my fist at full speed. Baldrick ran across the room into his fist and like effectively punched himself for Blackadder, didn't he? And
Yeah.
you know, wow, sometimes I struggle. There is a correlation there of this man has put himself in that father's way, so he's kind of what
Yeah.
my brain took me back to and went, it's a bit like that Blackadder where he did that. Look, that's like
So
self.
he's
He's
construed the situation.
he's so is it a real claim then in that case? Is it not aggravated because he's ran towards? See what I mean, Rashid? We have a different way of looking at stuff we do, and when we articulate it and there's witnesses there, and we can say actually that's an assumption. We can actually recollect and prove from these and their affidavits, that this is what happened. In fact, there is conflicts in the camera footage to what was given to them via the officers, and there's things that need to be looked at now. So, alongside that poor 12-year-old, alongside poor George, Floyd, and others, it's time we actually nailed this beast shut and kept it locked up. I think.
This should be pulled up on their oaths if indeed they're under one. Might expose that situation, mightn't it?
Fuck's sake.
How does that, you know, stand against the oath you took? I think you're in complete violation of it.
Yeah.
You know.
So it just shows you how contrived a situation can go. Nobody caused that, but that hospital employee deciding. I'd like to know,
Yeah.
how this pans out and what they actually find during the wash. But it's quite sticky and messy, and like I say, it's a sad, somber subject. But it just highlights the pitfalls of what we've said, and how we've come to see, and there's further evidences in the public realm, so we'd use this to respectfully, honourably and lovingly, help promote this poor family's plight and others, in similar situations or that have had that abuse and neglect, property abused, and yeah.
Yeah, it is abuse as well. But as I say, it's just disturbing to think these people that you think are there to help you are just some of the stuff they're doing. What sort of just to switch your machine off or something like that? I don't get it.
Sociopaths and narcissists, lack of empathy, don't understand. See what the comment about love and stuff going off here. Look, well done to all on that one. I'm just skimming up.
I'm just, what sort of people are out there ultimately? Well, I know, but it's just scary to think, right, get them away. They don't want this to happen. Let's just get it over and done with. Take the parents away from their dying child. I mean, come on, please. Somebody would have died if that had been me. At least one person.
Well, that's another thing. Again, it will come to that at some point where it's just a matter of time. It's a statistical fact, that somebody can be killed by one punch. It's happened before where people have been in high court for an act of drunkenness, and quite there is a documentary called The Punch, where a lad saw his mate being squared up in a pub, so he come across the room, didn't he? And he ended up clocking and punching this lad who was squaring his mate up. Not very fair from the side. The lad weren't expecting it. He's dropped like a sack of spuds, and subsequently died from his injuries, and the
Yeah.
family couldn't believe it. One punch, so it's just that
Yeah.
easy, yeah, and it's unnecessary to harm our respect. If we respect their parameters like them parents were in the realm, we should have respect given to us. It's not like the police and the doctors instruct and order us, and if we don't agree, we're in trouble. No, no, no. That's and there's no reason for that. It's quite fabricated, and it looks like it was orchestrated, and that's something we're hearing too often here. So, news to the wise, we're hearing and getting evidences now in the public realm of what you're telling us and what we're seeing ourselves. It's very disturbing. I'm sure that the creator, the universal consciousness that is present in all matter, through the potency, the omnipresent consciousness of the creator in all atomic fixture, then it's it's not natural, it's not divine, it's not positive. You said it well at the beginning: respectful, sensitive, caring, discretionate, and surely, yeah, they made an offer, they made an agreement. A few more days, so we'll look and see. We'll watch how it goes, and we'll keep them peeled. And we've got something positive out of this from poor um, sister's death there, and others that have passed. She's not the first, but one that's been recently highlighted,
No.
and the parents are getting some accountability now. So good on them, and well done to the Christians for.
Here's what concerns me as well, though. They're getting legal help. Now, I know what that means. And I don't like the sound of that.
Well, it's Christian concern, yeah, and we'll watch.
Well,
We'll
yeah, but
watch and see.
they'll still be using legal people.
Yeah,
They won't
of
be
course.
talking the sort of shit that we would be. They won't be going anywhere near the sort of stuff that we bring up. That's what annoys me.
Yeah, in the
We can go in
private.
there and go, oh, we'll give you a legal team. Can we speak to them? We'll give them some advice. They would fucking knock them out of the park. I'm not being big-headed. We would. These people don't. They wouldn't go near our
Well-
stuff we would bring up.
Well, on that bombshell, we'll leave it there, and if we get an email, we'll put our money as where our mouth is, eh, Kev?
Yeah, absolutely. Run rings around them. We'd be telling them, what about this, what about that? They'd just be exploding. They wouldn't even be thinking about the shit that we put apart. Idiots.
We'll give it the scribes, and we'll get it out there.
Good night. No, good night.
Ciao, everyone. Yeah, it's not cricket. It's a serious and
No, it isn't.
it's a deceptive game. Like the bar members, what we're saying is solicitors are members of the bar and they're licensed, so they have an agreement, and barristers do too, not to damage the crown. Okay, so they have prerequisite performances of contract supplementary to you. And if you're having a defence attorney, barrister brief, normally barrister, attorney, and you get a judicial sentence given you, it will be your brief that signs the contract on your behalf with consent for you to go and do that. What? Shh. I know. Yes. Rather. There. Final one. It's
That's
madness.
waiving all your rights as soon as they walk in.
Like a den of snakes. It is. It's like trying to walk through a den of snakes and not getting a bite.
It's like Epstein's Island in court. Sordid.
Okay.
Dirty.
Okay. We'll see. But we'll put the information out there, nevertheless, and we'll protect our communities. Just starting, and it's the same for most land masses, titles, property rights. It's just a matter of correction. So it sounds complicated. It won't be, and we'll make it as painless as we can do. Maybe some short videos, and the documents there for you, easily editable. And not chapter and verse, short and concise, a bit like the conditional acceptance we did for the academies and schools for you. If you anxious about returning your property to these idiots there, and you don't trust your government because of all of the hokey cokey in out, and all of that. So we can give you support there as well for. Maybe we should all start looking at homeschooling. This could be an opportunity for, if everyone's starting to work at home, why don't we start getting a venue and some charity effort for a big school and educate proper and do it ourselves. That'd be an achievement of man. But could
Only
we do
takes
it?
one kid, doesn't it, at school to possibly test positive for something, and then there's how many families immediately infected or involved?
Yes, we haven't got
Right?
definitive proof
You
of
know?
anything, but is it worth the risk? Is what we
No,
say.
that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. No,
yeah.
has anybody even yet seen a picture of this isolated virus? No, of course not. Not even the professionals that reckon it's around. But there you go. Never mind.
Mm.
But, it's just crazy. Just crazy. Unless they're going to accept liability for them going back to school, I wouldn't send mine back to school. Not the way they're acting.
They've already put in a rule in, haven't they? No liability. Someone said there's
Yeah, well, there you go. What's that tell you then?
Boris has elected 34 legislators, profit makers, revenue generators. No, I'm sorry, it was legislators. Yeah, he's appointed, and the size of the is getting too big, 800 and something it is. His cabinet, and it should be such like 300 and whatever to be effective. So, in light of what's going on, you've got 34 making it 800 and something, and they are current legislators to legislate COVID for us. Oh yes.
Oh, good.
That was something I wanted to mention earlier but forgot. Yeah, was getting it in at the end. Their revenue generators basically as you all know.
Yeah.
Lawmakers, what am I like?
What makers?
Right then, let's say good night. That's the long goodbye finished. We're actually going now, are we, Kev?
Yes. Thanks everybody for joining us. Great to see you all. Really appreciate it. And see you in a few days, no doubt. And you know where we are. If you've got any needs, you know how to contact us. So contact away. Hope you all have a great week. Peace and love to you all. Good health.
Thank you for the thumbs up. We will see you soon. Hello to the new scribes. Thank you to the old ones. And yeah, I'll be back soon. I have much to say, and I have got some time, so watch out for your notifications, and I'll try and give you a bit of a heads up before I go. And I'll catch up with you all in the daytime, so if you are about, you'll see Indy is live. Okay, thank you, much love. Once again, peace and love to that all of the Rashid and connected families there for that. We've not used this to any other reason than to highlight our plight. Out of desperation comes our innovation. So we've used this as an example of why man needs to try and help themselves with regards to property, and the words we use are on purpose and they're not disrespectful. It's just to get the... So much love and thank you. Yeah, thanks Kev. Thanks to everyone in the room.
Wendy, you can either do David at splspro.com
Oh,
or Kevin at splspro.com. Okay? That's how you can get hold of us. And we'd love to come to Texas.
and see Black Beauties. I bet they're red out there, aren't they? And do some yippee-ki-yay. Yeah, you see my lasso, my moonwalk, come on. I'd have so much fun. Be just like a little child, boy again. Yeah, I'm writing it for you. I'm writing it in the
just
room, by
above
the
your
way.
last message,
There you go.
Wendy.
Thank you to all that. All right, we're getting off then. Much love. We love you
Thanks
too.
everybody.
Ciao bello, stay mellow. No mozzarella. What?